Already?
To me.
To me.
Santé. Before we get into Alien Earth.
Alien : Earth, please.
Earth, Ace. Before we jump into Ace, you were gone.
Yeah, we had a temporary conscious uncoupling. But now we're back.
We're back. We're back
Forming
together.
like
There's two
Voltron.
of us.
Mm-hmm.
We're in a relationship again.
Yeah.
So. Oh, we're totally recording with the camera. That's cool. That being said, I also was gone.
Yeah.
I went to Denver.
Uh-huh.
And then I went
Windy
to
City.
Sneffels. Mount Sneffels. And I did a whole bunch of like hiking around stuff. There's a lot of beautiful things in Denver, but I took some photos for you.
Oh.
Specifically. You'll have to look over onto my monitor.
Okay.
They'll play
Sure.
on the video as well for our friends. But we stayed, each day we hiked about 8 miles, 30 miles across like the 4 days. And each night we stayed in a hut. So we bring all the food and all of our gear, but they have like a sleeping pad for us to sleep on, and they have kitchen utensils for us. So
I was listening to you the first time you told me this, but I guess this is for the audience.
this is for the audience. Right. And
because I pay attention to you.
At each hut, because these huts are often used in the winter, are some pretty glorious piles of wood.
Oh, let me see.
Now I know you're a pile guy.
I'm a big pile guy.
So I took a photo of
Yeah.
each pile
Please.
specifically for you. This is
Oh,
the pile.
yeah.
This is not pile number 1. This is pile number 4. I don't know why they're in this order, but that they are.
I like that little hut there.
It's a very nice little hut. I would rank this second of the piles, in my opinion. This is my favorite pile.
Oh, those look like they would split real nice.
This pile was from the second night, and I really appreciate the structure they built around it, because they also used wood to build that structure, not just a shed. It's a very nice little aesthetic to it.
Did they leave you an axe?
They did not, because you're not allowed to make a fire while we were there, because the fire was on.
But the wood needs to
extreme
season
super hot.
anyway.
It is. The wood is seasoning, but no, they do not set it up to split for you. And in fact, I think when you are there during the regular season, not the winter, you're not even supposed to use that wood, because they mostly just have that wood for the winter. You can just kind of wander around and pick up sticks and stuff off the ground. But I still appreciate the piles. This was the second night. It was a nice pile.
I like that.
It's a nice shed. It's pretty nice. And then my least favorite, which I love, I'm glad it's last, was the first night. It was a good pile. No shed. There was a shed as well in addition to this pile. But I just figured you would appreciate the pile.
Somebody's going to have fun with that. Somebody's going to have a
They're
lot of
gonna
fun
work
splitting that up.
through it.
I was actually working on the pile earlier today after work. Yeah, you'll have to see it if you come over.
Were you taking out some
on Sunday.
frustrations of work on the pile?
No, I'm just getting it ready for the winter. I had some large chunks that needed to be chopped down, and I got a whole bunch of new wood that needs to be stacked.
And you
so
got that new mall.
just maintenance. Yeah.
How you digging the mall? You really getting into it?
It's a 10-pound boy.
Yeah.
It's a heavy guy. It
They're
feels
fun.
real good.
And you just huck right through it. So yeah,
Yeah, I love that. I love piles. I think those are stupendous.
yeah. 2 wood piles. Okay, so we watched the first 2 episodes of Alien Earth: Earth.
Please. Yeah.
Start us off. Give us a little summary. Where did we start? We started on a spaceship.
I think before that, this is obviously the Alien TV show from Alien the movie,
FX,
which we've watched all the movies, I believe.
all of the main ones
I'm sure in college you watched Alien and Aliens over and over.
several times.
So they're a big part of the history of TV movie watching for us both.
Yes.
We rewatched Alien, Aliens, Alien 3, and did we get to 4?
I think 4 is where we're about to go. 4, and then we jump into Prometheus and all those, which we've all seen.
But we rewatched in advance of the show the first 3. We've also, I think the more interesting street on this intersection, though, is Noah Hawley, who we love. Most well known, I think, for his TV shows Fargo and Legion.
Yep,
we watched both all of those
and love.
So now this is his 3rd consecutive intellectual property that he's taking and making his own show about.
He's doing his own thing.
And this is not a guy... Fargo and Legion were not cash grabs. Like you're directing the latest Marvel movie and you're going to get a bunch of money to do this and have it come out like all of the other. He is putting his very particular stamp on Fargo and on Legion and now on Alien: Earth.
Not only was Legion as far away from an MCU cash grab as you could make, I would say it's an art piece.
It was a very alienating show from a mainstream perspective. If you came in, if you got hooked in on the Marvel grab, you did not make it that far.
No. But it was wonderful and I loved every episode of it.
But now this is the 3rd time that he's done this, doing an Andor thing before Andor was a show. I'm wondering, what is it about taking these pieces of intellectual property and spinning them out into his vision, which is very unique? If he's got such a unique spin on things, what's compelling to him to take the IP as a starting point rather than an original story?
Would you say that Fargo is the one that I don't think matches here? Because while there is existing content, right? And I guess you could say it's maintained in the universe. Like Legion, he's telling a story that's been told before, and he's just telling it another way. Alien, he's like taking somebody else's universe. Fargo, he's taking somebody else's universe. I think from a writer's perspective, it's attractive because you don't have to invent canon. I think there's something very attractive to most writers. I think they all come from like a fan fiction space, right? Where you're like, oh, I would love to see this in this universe.
This is the same thing that he probably did at age 10.
I would assume so.
Blown up with the budge and with the experience. And what would you say that he's got a particular way of filming these? Do you sense a commonalities between those 3 shows?
Them? No, I don't. I look at no. I say that specifically because his lens type and his DP usage, I assume he has a different DP for these different projects. But the movie style he's going for in Legion is very up close and off-centered. It's rarely level. Like the camera's rarely on a level plane. You're always looking from some weird perspective, and that I think is supposed to be a representation of the fact that our character is literally descending into madness the entire TV show. Fargo is a much more rounded film style in the sense that like everything is almost from a fisheye lens, which I think is kind of supposed to make this perspective of every character is larger than life. And so you almost feel like a small person in the presence of every character that shows up in that. Like he does the Wes Anderson character walking up to a hotel door keyhole. That's the like how I think of like the Fargo film style, right? Or that he's using in that, which is very much like I present to you this character. And this is a horror. And so it has a much flatter style in my mind, in that everything is like presented as if you see everything, but then that makes the background kind of fade away, and then he can throw objects in the background that kind of give you that like, oh, you thought that was a still shadow, but now it's a moving shadow, which is very much like sci-fi horror trope. And then on top of that, there's a lot of fast cuts that I don't think he does in Fargo. He does some fast cuts in Legion, obviously, because that's just absurdism in a film, TV show. So I would say he's using a different style for all of these.
I love that breakdown. He definitely has different color palettes for the three of them. Fargo is much more naturalistic. I don't know the word for what he's doing in Legion, but it's very like fall colors type of things.
I think it depends completely on which character he's talking about in Legion. Like there are times where there's a whole bunch of colors, but I think that very much has to do with like, again, like the descent into some sort of madness. There's that whole episode where he's like crawling through tunnels for a long time, where there's all sorts of crazy colors, but I think there's some drugs involved in that. Like the whole thing feels like a 70s drug adventure. And then there's the fish tank.
All those bright colors have like a shadow to them.
They have a fall mute to them.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
They're not the bright pastoral spring colors that he's working with in Fargo. And now in Ace, it's much darker, more industrial, fitting with the original movies, of course.
And you mentioned it, and we talked about this right off the bat, is the beginning of Alien was essentially him reshooting like his version of Alien.
The intro to Ace
Yes.
is an homage to Alien, yes.
He took their art book and put it onto film. Like he took their hey, he has the spaceship that is very much of Wayland persuasion, of Wayland technology, of the this is a cheap 70s spaceship. He has the people smoking on the ship. He has the distrusted cyborg. He has the science officer who's a fucking weirdo right off the bat. He has the sleep pods. He has people in way too little clothing in the sleep pods. And what I thought was interesting is I very much thought these first couple episodes were going to be continuing that tradition. But once the, spoiler alert, spaceship crashes, all of that goes away.
Yes.
And I don't think I even noticed it, but there's no smoking anymore. All of the characters on that spaceship minus one are all dead. So you lose kind of all of them. And it immediately goes to this Prodigy Corporation and their territory, which is a completely different view on things. It seems much more sleek, much more stylish, and much more
I was talking about the film
young
style there at that point where you can speak to this better than me with the high refresh rate where it has that soap opera effect.
I'm curious to watch episode 3 today and see if it has the same effect on my projector. I feel like it kind of disappeared towards the end, or maybe I just forgot about it at the end. I also wonder if I need to play with the settings on your TV again. It's very
it may have gotten a reset because we did have to turn that off when we set it up initially.
yeah.
I agree with you on the camera work. There's I see some similarities already to the three properties. One is they're all very serious stories,
yes,
but with some very dark humor in them. Two, they're always very grounded. They're portrayed as very grounded stories, but they'll just come out with some very whimsical, wild stuff. I'm thinking of the spoiler for Fargo season 2, the UFO in Fargo season 2, for example. Just the random stuff that would pop in Legion, and I see some of that already in the in Ace. We'll get to the plot in a minute, but just conceptually, the idea of putting these kid brains in the adult bodies and watching them run around. Adult actors play acting as kids gave me that same. And there's also amongst the three a lot of surreal qualities where he is constantly going back in time, forward in time, using dream states. So there's a very disorienting effect to when you're watching something that can be confusing and can be kind of frustrating if you don't know exactly where you are, because his storytelling in all three properties, obviously we haven't watched that much of Ace yet, but it's very non-linear.
Yeah, he does not. He does. I appreciate filmmakers who do this. He's not holding our hands at all in this show. He's jumping right into it. I think there's a 10-second intro that's just everyone wants to create immortality. That's kind of the race at this period in time. There's 3 different solutions to that, and go. And then it goes into the spaceship. No explanation other than they have some specimens. That goes poorly for everyone on the ship.
And this is 2 years before Alien.
Yes.
Alien, we meet the alien for the first time, but we find out from Alien: Earth, aka Ace, that it's not the first time we're made aware of the alien. In fact, this ship was sent out, I believe, to try and find the alien.
I don't think it was necessarily, and we'll find out more, I don't think it was necessarily sent out specifically to find the alien. I think it was sent out to collect specimens. This one seems to be the most important. I am slightly bothered with the fact that we have this creature on Earth before all the happenings of Alien. I'm not so offended by it that I'm not going to enjoy the television show, but I'm a big lore guy, and I love the lore of things, and I think it kind of ruins the lore a little bit when we're just like, oh, this creature already existed, and we've already interacted with it as humans.
It makes the companies much more evil because they didn't say anything. And in fact, we've got there's multiple different...
Three
companies.
6, actually, I believe. But
6?
Two that we know of.
Two that we're really interacting with. One owns the ship.
Yep,
the
Wayland.
other owns the geographic region, a.k.a. New Siam, that the ship has crashed into.
Yep, Prodigy is the name of that. Prodigy Corporation is the kid... What's his name? His name is Kid...
It was something... hilarious, like
Boy Cavalier.
Boy Cavalier.
I think she keeps calling him the Boy Genius, I think is what she calls him. He calls himself the Wonderkin. Apparently he started Prodigy Corporation when he was 6.
And he's irritating.
He is super irritating. He plays the character well.
Yeah.
I love that conversation they have about him just wanting to talk to someone more intelligent than him, because it seems like such a tech billionaire thing to say. He's like, and he's talking to this doctor. He's like, you're smart, but you're not as smart as me. And at the same time, I'm like, what kind of intelligence are we talking about here? Because obviously emotional intelligence, she's like light years ahead of you. But sure, I guess the ability to make the most amount of money, like probably not.
He's doing a fantastic facsimile of a 14-year-old boy.
Yep.
So we have this spaceship that does crash. It's got an alien on board. We've got a ton of different aliens.
Well, it had
that
a
we
face
see.
hugger.
Mm-hmm. But we also see one with eyeballs.
The octopus
We see
thing.
a couple of different...
We have the slug that just is essentially a giant tick, a slug tick, if you will, a leech.
I don't like
guess
slugs.
you could call it a leech. It kills our poor guy from White Lotus.
Mm-hmm.
That was sad.
That was sad.
Him and his buddy. That was a horrible way to die, too.
Oh, if I died by a slug, that was my
But
personal
also
hell.
tied up. Like, that's the part that I think bugs me the most. Like, the part where it's crawling around on his face, and he's trying to get his hands free, but he can't, and it goes up into his helmet.
Oof.
It just makes me think of when I like have an itch and I can't get to it. Like, sometimes I'll put on my motorcycle helmet and I'll have a little scratch that I can't get to, and that drives me nuts. Having a slug crawl up my helmet, I might crash and die at that point.
Oh, I would definitely crash and die.
Okay, so our ship crashes. It crashes right into New Siam. This does not worry our boy Wonderkin, Boy Cavalier, at all. He's more interested in what's on the ship and how it's now his, whatever it is.
How can he profit from it? Because he knows it's something good.
It crashes into a very large, very cool apartment building.
The set pieces are...
Yeah, it's a very large building. Obviously, it has some stores on the bottom of the largest variety, and then at some point it starts getting into apartments, and some very nice apartments. I forget the character's name. There actually is a character name for the guy with the curly hair, the wig dude, which another comical little relief moment when they knock on the door and try and get him to evacuate, and he's like, I know the owners, leave me alone, and closes the door. Ship crashes, aliens go, we get introduced to our brother character,
Mm-hmm.
who is the brother of Wendy. We'll get to Wendy in a little bit here.
Yeah, but brother is on the search and rescue team, running through the building,
His name
trying
is
to
Joe
find
Hermit.
survivors.
He wanted to be a doctor. Parents are dead. He recently got rejected to go back to med school, so he has to continue his time working for the Prodigy Corporation, which I just assume that everyone's assigned a certain amount of time they have to work for a corporation.
Well, I wonder how much of this is
I think that's just alien lore.
overlap in with Alien Romulus. You remember the intro there?
Where she wants to get off the planet. She's finished
go
her
do
term, and they're
something
like,
else.
actually, everybody's got 4 new years,
Yeah.
which is not... I think that actually has existed in the past before. The like indentured servant concept, where you're like, I mean, obviously indentured servitude has, but like changing of your terms
Oh, yeah.
and having absolutely 0 rights to that.
Which I'm against.
I'm also... We can come out as a pod and say we're against.
Okay. Hell, I knew I was sitting with a like-minded individual. So then we also have his sister Wendy.
Yep. So at the Neverland Research Institute, that is owned by Prodigy, we have Wendy, who is introduced to us as Marcy. She is a terminally ill child.
Yeah, about, I don't know, 10, 12 years old. She's about to die.
She has a small conversation with our character Kirsch, played by Timothy Oliphant, about being scared of a scorpion, which is an interesting, fun way to introduce both of them. He seems to kind of care about her. Maybe that's just because his directive is to take care of the kids.
Yeah, because he is a
synthetic.
synthetic.
He is a full synthetic, so he is AI through and through. We find out
3 different classes of people. There's the synthetics, which they look like human, but they are not human at all.
Nope.
And then there's 2 more. One is Wendy, who we're about to get to, right?
Wendy
And
becomes...
I'm not sure.
Wendy becomes the first hybrid. And a hybrid is a brain transplanted...
Human brain.
Not necessarily the brain. The
consciousness.
The consciousness is transferred into a synthetic. So you get all the powers and strength and eternal life that is being a synthetic and a different blood color, but you get the consciousness, or at least that's what they're claiming. What
is the third category? Do you remember?
There's a cyborg, which is just enhanced humans.
Okay.
Which there is a very important character who I found out is a cyborg, and I'll tell you about him later. You know who he is, but I'll...
Regular human consciousness.
It's just an enhanced human being.
Regular human body with upgrades.
Yep.
Okay. So Wendy is going to be a new hybrid, meaning she will take her consciousness, and this happens in the first ep here, into the body of a young woman who looks like the main character in Amelie, if you saw that movie.
She's very close. I would agree with that statement. She's the first of 6. There are 5 more kids. We find out later on that it requires a kid's brain because it's flexible enough to be transferred into synthetic, and for some reason adults can't. I don't know if they know that theoretically or if they've tried.
And if they'll get better, or...
It's interesting because... We do have that conversation between our boy Cavalier and Dame Sylvia, I think her name is. Yeah, Dame Sylvia, who is the main scientist or researcher on this project. And he's discussing what he wants, and he says, I just want to talk to somebody who will blow my mind, who's more intelligent than me. And I thought that was interesting because I thought for sure his intention would be to live forever, because that seems to be what billionaires want to do. And he, of course, is the youngest trillionaire. I don't know if that's still his intention at some point, is to be able to transfer his own consciousness into synthetic, but it doesn't seem to be something he's concerned with. That very much was... Wayland's thing, and in Prometheus and all that, the Wayland Corporation, that's his whole thing, is researching living forever.
So we got Wendy, who is the sister, and then we got the other 5 who are named the Lost Boys.
Yep.
Pretty
Slightly curly Shmee, Toodles, and Nibs.
obviously all characters from Peter Pan.
Yep.
Did you have any thoughts on the overwhelming Peter Pan allusions in this ep?
It's absurd that it took me that long to realize all of their names were after Peter Pan, because obviously the Neverland Ranch, or not Neverland Ranch, the Neverland Research Center is a big giveaway. They show Wendy / Marcy watching Peter Pan on a screen above her when she's getting her consciousness transferred. And then
It's pretty heavy-handed.
It is. And then they start showing the names of these other kids, and I'm just like, these are some weird names. Why does everybody in the future have to have weird names? And it's because people in the past had weird names, and Peter Pan had weird names. Yes. But I think it makes sense because they never want to grow up, which is a little bit weird because I think Dame Sylvia, her whole thing is like they should be growing up, like mentally. I think she has hope that their consciousness will age. I think they were artificially pumping them with hormones to make them try and feel emotions. I think Lady Dame, and I found out the other researcher is apparently her husband, the one who can't have babies because his low sperm count, Arthur.
Oh, that's too bad.
He explains that to Wendy.
What's your sperm count?
0.
Sure. Hey, mine too now.
Yeah.
It used to be high, now it's low.
It's nada. Thank you, surgery. What a topic. His sperm count is low, not by choice. So I think they obviously have a paternal feeling about these kids. They obviously think that this is a morally good project. I think they think it has good intentions. I think probably, as most things corporation owned, we're going to find out probably don't have the best intentions.
No, it's probably bad.
But they seem protective of the kids. They think that this is just a way of killing disease and saving people who were probably going to die at some point. But they very much see the synthetics or the hybrids as people. And you can see her try and treat them as people. It's very interesting to see Kirsch, who is a full synthetic, who I think is the opposite way. I don't really know what his intentions are yet. He doesn't seem that protective of the children. I think it's his job to kind of like corral them and also kind of protect them, but I think more of in a like this is an asset. And I think his conversations with Wendy seem to he wants to convince her she's not human.
He is doing some very untypical elephant moves in this show.
Except for his walk.
Except
He
he can't get away from his walk.
He can't take the walk.
We think of him. I think of him primarily Justified and Deadwood.
Yep, and my other favorite performance of his.
Are you talking Santa Clarita Diet?
Santa Clarita Diet.
If you're nasty, where he's just got an overwhelming charisma.
Yes.
And
he's cut this off.
It's a very understated performance. I'm interested to see where that goes.
Yep.
The storyline with Wendy, all of these Peter Pan allusions, to me, this was the most obvious indicator that Noah Hawley is doing something different with the series. I'm going to put these kid brains in these adult bodies and let them run around like a bunch of dum-dums.
Yeah.
Canonically, thematically, tonally, seems very different from the Alien movies that we've seen thus far. This was the biggest tip-off that he's forging his own path.
It also seems the most like Alien versus Predator in the sense that like we have an equal footing or a semi-equal footing.
Well, you compared it to Stranger Things during the episode, if I recall correctly.
I did, and I think I stand by that, especially in the sense that they like you have these kids who are very kidding it up the entire time and like fumbling through.
It's an extremely hammy set of performances so far.
But they are given... But it's Stranger Things if they were all given superpowers. And may or may not have emotions. It's kind of hard to figure that part out. Some of them definitely show emotions. Like I think Nibs is the redhead who does not seem to be adjusting very well, and seems kind of terrified the whole time. But some of them don't seem human at all. Specifically, Toodles, which is the one who wants to be a scientist. He seems kind of like distant from all the rest of them, and I think you see him staring at that pod for a long time, that like pod that was hanging from the ground, with like zero fear, which is very interesting to me. I'm curious to see how many of them are going to die. I think it might be all of them except for Wendy.
To sort of sum up the plot lines broadly, the spaceship crashes, the brother is sent in with the search and rescue team.
He's a medic.
Because he's a medic to try and, search and to also rescue.
Wendy's been watching him.
Yeah, Wendy has got eyes on him. Now she wants to go and search and rescue the brother. So now they're all heading into the building where the alien is. And some of my favorite scenes, very reminiscent of the movies, where you're looking in the background and all of a sudden something that you thought was structural does a big wide uncurl reveal to be the alien.
It is very cool that the alien has a very similar structure to the spaceships that Wayland is.
It's so cool.
Has this show given us the most up close view of the alien's face?
Wasn't there like right in there?
Yeah, but they don't. Alien? But I feel like they give us long cuts of the alien's head moving, and I feel like the older movies tended to shy away from that specifically.
Just shorter
cuts, to make you feel.
In Alien, Sigourney Weaver and
she
Alien,
does.
They're right.
Yeah, and I think, but that's like such an in close cut. I think they've started showing the alien like more and more. They obviously, there's that whole party that gets massacred, and then there's that whole crew of the search and rescue that gets massacred, and they don't show either one of them. It's interesting that most of the deaths that they've shown, like actually shown the death, they've all been the other aliens, not the actual alien. When the alien kills things, it just kills them.
So far, it has not been all that scary, which is interesting for a...
I would not call this on the horror spectrum of...
But you think of the franchise.
The franchise is. I do not...
They've definitely gotten away from that.
I would say most of it, once you got into like the Prometheus and stuff, like the horror aspects of it kind of started to disappear. There's definitely some gothic horror aspects to it where they like show the space jockey crashing and or where he's crashed, and everything kind of has that like empty rock dark feel to it, and there's some horror to it. But I think you're right that the it's moved away from that and more into the sci-fi. I think that has to happen when you have that many movies. At some point, you can't just be afraid of the creature that you've seen.
I'm hoping to see some more horror elements as we go through the series.
I think we're going to see some more horror, but I think we're also going to see more like badassery.
Where did Ep 2 leave off?
Ep 2 left off where they discover Wendy can't hide her secret from her brother for more than, I don't know, a minute.
Yeah, that was pretty quick.
And then 10 minutes later, the episode ended. I know this because we timed it. But the next 10 minutes are the alien gets caught by the cyborg. He's a cyborg, by the way. The guy who works for Wayland, one of the two Wayland characters that are still alive. He's the security officer. The other one is Yutani Wayland, who's the CEO. We just see her on the phone. Obviously, she's not there.
This is the CEO of the company that owns the ship that crashed.
And his name is Morrow, and his whole thing is to isolate the samples. That's it. He let all the other scientists die on the ship because it helped him He was able to escape the alien by dropping into a little like escape pod or a crash pod, I think he called it, which is basically a tiny room that you can survive the crash in.
Yeah, it's like a black box where you can live for a little while.
He did have the alien captured for a little while, and then the other security dudes showed up. Rather than helping them, he just let the alien kill them all, and so it's obviously still on the loose. He's still on the loose as well. He may be overly aggressive. He seems to immediately default to kill anything that isn't the alien or a Wayland representative. I wouldn't even say, like, his Wayland employees at this point. He's killing.
We don't know that much about him, so
But he immediately locks up the first two people he sees for their death.
Rather than throwing shade at him without hearing his story, maybe we can just describe him as purpose-driven.
He's very purpose-driven.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly where did it leave off. I don't remember.
I was trying to remember what the cliffhanger was, and it must not have been a big one. I was glad that they did 2 eps. Yeah. This is we were talking about Noah Hawley not holding your hand through the eps. There's a lot of lore, some of which you know if you've seen the Alien movies, some of which is new. There's new companies, there's new stuff on Earth that's going on. You know, Earth is not covered a lot in the Alien films. The how the planet is geographically divided now, etc. So I'm glad they gave us 2 eps to immerse in this new giant world. Which Noah Hawley, my favorite thing that he's done in these 2 eps is the world building. It looks tremendous. It looks great.
Now here's my question for you. Mm-hmm. Just like Star Wars apparently can't survive without Darth Vader, could an Alien television show and or movie survive or thrive without the alien? Like, is the lore good enough in Alien history to just watch a show that builds up to the alien but doesn't actually show the alien? Like, could you watch if this was an entire prequel just about how the Wayland Corporation came to power or something like that, and how they, like, why they're searching for this thing, and maybe like hints of this life form that they've discovered, which is not related to Wayland at all. They didn't create this thing, as we know later on. Spoiler alert, into the Prometheus and onwards, there's a whole nother space species that probably created humanity and also created this alien, maybe on accident. Do you think that would work?
It sort of depends on who's doing it. I think we just saw Andor do a non-Darth Vader show that
a non-Jedi thing completely.
No Jedi, no Darth Vader, no Sith, very little Force in general, and killed it. It was widely critically acclaimed. It was exciting, beautiful, wonderful. So yes, in the right hands, but that would take some very special doing.
Like we were saying, shall we watch episode 3?
I'd like that.
I'm gonna edit that out.
Okay.
I'm gonna edit.
I'd like that too. Yeah,
I'm gonna edit that in post. And yeah, to me.
Okay, stay gold.
Stay gold.